Grab your cup and buckle up.
This is And Wine.
And wine.
Yeah.
Oh, and the tap. Touche.
I always forget the tap, and this time I forgot.
I only tap a shot.
You showed it. You just set yours down like.
I'm about to say, you bowed out. I only ever tap a shot.
Today is going to be sponsored by Zach's mom. Shout out to her.
High key,
The
Big Pope.
Prosecco. It's sparkling wine that my good friend Big Ange just pointed out.
Yes.
It's still wine. Silver's still on me. We don't have our girl Abigail here today for this or that, but Zach.
Zach's gonna do it.
Take it
What's
over.
And he's
up?
gonna do it right.
This or that.
This or that.
Hey.
This or that. This or that. No, that's actually cute as shit.
Yeah, that was really,
It just kind of happens too, though. Like,
I sent you a note. You didn't get it.
Wow.
It's another.
production assistant fumbling.
Wow.
That's all right. How y'all doing? Y'all doing good?
Always.
Great. Amazing.
Always.
Amazing.
We should say thank you for all the support that we got on our first episode. We really
Very much so.
like, we're so grateful. We got a little hate.
I'm about to say a few haters.
A few haters, but it was mostly love, and even the haters turned into lovers.
I actually really appreciated the haters because you're only relevant if you get a lot of shade. If they're not willing to argue with you, you know what I mean? Like, praise is easily won. People be faking that shit.
Yeah.
But like, you got to be a little bit bold to actually be like, I disagree.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
some people weren't haters; they just had different views, and that's okay.
And those
too.
people we love.
Yeah.
Those people that can say I disagree and here's why, or this has been my experience.
Right.
No problem with that. But the women,
That's a different story.
come on, bald head hoes. When I'm like, all this hair you see on this screen, what is you talking about?
And I'm
What
gonna
you
be
talking about?
lonely. Like,
No, that one had me weak.
I said, "Baby, you gonna leave me? What? I had no idea."
I was
You
like,
really
snuggles
think they
closer.
know us.
And don't.
But it's all right. You know,
That's fine.
we appreciate it all. Y'all can hate, y'all can love.
Do whatever you're gonna do.
Just keep running them views.
Yes.
That's all we really care about.
All right, we ready. We ready.
Run that this or that. Let's do a production assistant.
Break up via text or email.
Damn.
Not email.
I
I'm here for the email.
I'm here for the email. Because you get real in detail, and it don't have to be like bloop, 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 bloop. You know, like
And
a
this is like,
lot
you
of
gonna
text
read it.
messages.
I feel like I've
I
only
love
had somebody email me on some like unblock me. So that's why I'm like, I should hit my email.
Yeah, but text is disrespectful though. Is it not? Like,
I feel like an email that would be more of like my thing because people say I'm like really professional and I respond to people.
Bro, if you resign my relationship,
I would totally.
I feel like
That's a perfect
That's
way to put. I
fucked
would
up.
be like resignation letter and then like give our relationship some like kind of title.
yeah.
wow.
That's so-
Senior executive of your shitty apartment. Like, dang.
Love May.
Oh.
Been real.
I feel like it's more thought put into
May
it.
the odds be ever yours.
I'm about to say, I bet it's easier to like organize your thoughts. You
But
like,
that's why I was.
I email from my phone, so texting and email feels the same to me. And like, if I busted out my laptop to email you,
Yes.
You
I
can't
feel like it's getting sassier though.
No.
If I can stretch out my wrist, I might eat you alive. Like,
I feel like that's how I would relate.
Clickety clack,
more
click, click, clack.
into just facts than emotions. If it's a text message, I feel like we're getting into last Thursday you such and such. But if I give you an email, I'm gonna bullet point your infractions.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna resign. People like,
wow.
It's
Because I
gonna
feel
be
like
a
the more I hear the
conversation.
clickety clack, the more fired up I get.
no, it just it's like white noise for me.
That's like important.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Remember this?
Email.
Don't break up with me.
Oh,
I don't want the text
I do
or
the
the
breaking
email.
up over here.
No,
Okay?
literally.
Don't break up with me.
Why?
I feel that.
I don't want to break up. Like, I don't want to break up. I'm not doing that part.
Cocktail or wine?
Hi, baby.
It depends.
This depends.
I'm all for wine. It's just something so beautiful about the way wine is created. Like the whole process.
Eloquent much?
I mean, because my thing is, okay, I'm going to a restaurant, I'm getting a steak. You're going to say, okay, well, I'm getting a red wine. Well, what kind? You got to think about where it's from, what it went through. Like,
Yes,
what it went
I
through.
got giving
It
sommelier.
is so, yes, that's actually my dream.
Yeah, you should.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad
Because
at
the
it.
way she just turned into one.
No, she really got whimsical as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is this?
The Uncorked movie that's set in Memphis.
No.
Yes, it's about the black guy who wants to be a sommelier. I forget. who's in it.
Cute.
I know what you're talking
It
about.
was so good. Yeah.
It was good.
It was actually
Netflix,
shot in one of
Prime.
those.
I think
little stores
Netflix.
like often.
I think Netflix.
Not that I went too often.
Yeah, I used to live by the.
Not I got a problem.
I do appreciate like a wine drunk. Like it makes you feel sexy.
That's
You're
what it
moving.
was.
But the only thing with wine,
I stay with a bottle.
sometimes
I
it makes
love a
you
bottle of wine.
sleepy. That's my only thing. Sometimes with
Yeah.
I'll say that. for
Wine
me, I don't know if
drunk
that's way.
It's different.
It's fun.
It's a good time.
I feel sultry.
I'm about to say I feel very seductive, very sultry, or
And
I'm
you can just
way
keep
too
pouring
emotional.
it. You ain't gotta mix and stuff. You just
That's
keep.
true.
I'm about to say the
It's
problem
easy
is I
to
get too
go a lot.
snuggly with that bottle, and then I'm just like fuck the glass, take it to the head,
Yeah,
and that okay now Aldi wine.
Listen.
I've heard good
Aldi
things.
wine?
Winking out? Is it winking out?
Yes.
I've had that before.
It's Aldi wine at my house, but winking out for the consumers,
Okay.
winking out.
Try it, y'all.
Bruh.
For real.
We have a Trader Joe's one.
I was gonna
today.
say
I'm about to say today we got Trader Joe wine, but
Well,
that
we're gonna
winking
have to go
out.
They're like cousins, Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
and Aldi.
they're actually-
I'm not mad at that.
They're owned by the same people.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
Just
And
different
Aldi is entirely
communities.
organic.
You know,
Like,
have you
Aldi's the
noticed where the
place.
Trader Joe's are and where the Aldi's are? Yeah.
Come on, the Aldi.
The Aldi. I got real country.
Where the Aldi are.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Aldi's has everything.
I'm not mad at it at all. I love Aldi, and that wine will fuck you up.
Yeah.
That sangria, girl. That sangria.
Oh yes.
Oh, I love it.
Let me have a good time. I take that sangria as the base. Coconut tequila,
Yellow.
pineapple. Just stay
You don't
with
like
it.
tequila?
Okay.
I don't like coconut. I love tequila.
It's
love
very subtle. Just a
coconut.
little bit of that 1800 coconut,
Oh,
that
okay, I can
pineapple
do
juice,
It's good.
and a little bit of orange juice,
Ooh.
and then like fresh lime or a little bit of sweetened lime juice. Baby, slut me out
So what you saying?
sangria.
You're gonna make those
That,
for
the next wine episode will be
You got
slut me out
sommelier
sangria.
and
That's
a
And
cocktail
you
specialist
tell
over
me
here.
about the palette
Mixologist.
that I have delivered, because yes, that shit, that's such a fucking wishing.
Yes, for the mixologist.
Yes.
Hey.
We've got a
It's
mixologist.
a good
a
time.
I know.
And we've got a lush.
You need one of those.
A lush.
I'm a drunk by blood, not reaction.
Okay.
I'll be y'all chef. Okay.
Ooh,
One more.
Charcuterie boards.
Okay, when these
I can do that.
Charcuterie
I'm over aesthetics. I'm over aesthetics.
And I did them with Aldi. Whatever.
Aldi.
Yeah.
I made my charcuterie.
We love you,
boards.
Aldi.
We love
Charcuterie
you. Sponsor us.
Please.
And corporate powder.
Did you see they got
That
gear
would be
now?
great.
Like Aldi got merch, ho.
Yes,
They got motherfucking
Bro,
slides,
my
cute
sister
ass
has the
tote
whole
bags.
outfit.
I want it.
I was like, why did you tell me I couldn't have it?
Bro, and it's
Wait, it's like a
fresh.
chevron, like
It's
pattern.
fresh. You know I love motherfucking stripe.
What made them do that?
Cause it's like a cold.
It's a cold.
man.
They got Facebook
Kinda like
pages.
What Target come out with a fitted?
And I'm gonna pop the fuck out with the Target dot
With the
all over.
bulldog on it.
Quit playing with me.
I swear, me and my kids.
Because you know they're gonna do the whole family set.
You know?
You know they gonna. But the Aldi joint, they got a cup. You know I love a cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't get. I'm gonna go get it
I gotta
now.
look
Because
it up
watch this
after
summer.
I gotta look this up.
It's fire.
I gotta look it up. What's the next one?
It's fandom.
Last but not
One more.
Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal friend.
Friend.
Loyal friend.
A rich loyal
I am a
friend.
rich friend.
Right?
I know that's right.
I don't need no.
Well, that was easy.
I don't need my friends for their money.
Then we were all there on that.
Loyalty is definitely rare. So
Yeah, loyalty is
if
rich
you,
as
if
fuck.
you got a loyal
It
friend,
is
you got
really,
something.
right.
Yeah.
Really, that's a
Loyalty.
rich.
Money can't buy
You
it.
can't.
Cannot afford
Yeah.
that.
Loyalty.
Mm.
All right.
That was easy. Glad we came on.
Well, that was this or that. Thank you.
No
guys.
question about
That
where we
was good.
stand.
Right. Well, let's get into the topic today.
Let's.
Now it got stressful.
Because
Everybody settle
serious
down.
topic.
Let's get to the topic. We were having fun. We're not no more.
We'll see if it's gonna be fun. But I do think that boundaries is something
that is important. And it's something for me that I didn't even think about until like I got in my big age and realized what they really were, and you know, kind of start getting on my people pleasing stage, and kind of just grew up, and I started my own family, and maybe I don't want my mama calling me all the time when I'm with my family, and maybe I don't answer the phone as much as I, for certain people because I'm doing other things, and it's like, oh, so that's what boundaries is. Like I really didn't understand it. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. There's people in their 40s and 50s that still don't comprehend.
I'm still very new to my boundaries. That was gonna be my first
Okay,
question.
well, that's what we're
Like,
talking
when
about.
did you meet boundaries for real? Like,
Mm.
and I would honestly have to say, like, high key 30,
Yeah.
and I'm only 33, but like 30ish.
Exactly. That's
Late 20s, early in like first part of my 30s.
Yeah. And still trying to figure out.
Definitely. I was about to say,
What
even
my
now as I
boundaries
outline new boundaries.
I think for me, the biggest struggle is enforcing.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a TikTok where a girl was talking about, like, the first thing is to figure out what your boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's to communicate them with people that you know, interact with. And then the third one is to enforce them. And that's usually the hardest for people. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask y'all a question. Fill in the blank. If a person does blank, I will cut them off.
Ooh.
Can y'all answer that?
What
is your, like, non-negotiable?
Oh, God, smacks their feet.
And not necessarily, like,
No, I'm just saying. These
not
are pet peeves.
necessarily,
These are
like,
pet peeves.
in a relationship, just,
But,
like,
in dealings with people.
I can
Well,
first
let other people tell it. I cut you off anything. So
me too.
They deserved it.
they deserved it.
But, like, give us an example of something that is just, like, if you do this to me one time, you got one time to do this.
I hate to be too general because the first thing I wanted to say was the first time you're weird.
No, for real, that's a
Yeah.
good one, though.
You know what I mean? Like the
And you
first
don't
time
even
you
have to
get weird.
explain what
with me.
weird is, because you know what weird is to you.
Yes, and I was like, I think that's the issue. Yes,
though.
that's what's
So how would
important
they
about
know?
boundaries, right? Is I need to be able to define that well,
Right.
so that if you're like, well, what happened? What changed up? And it's like, I can't really just look at you and be like, girl, you got
being
weird. You know what I mean? Girl or guy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't give people explanation, but maybe that's something I need to work on.
I was about to say, but
And
that's
that's
a
something
boundary
I'm
that I have
learning.
not learned. I still feel the need to explain myself. And now that I've gotten older and I have a family in an aspect, I'm like, oh, I don't actually owe you
You don't.
or anyone else any clarity.
Unless it's a loyal friend.
You know,
Yeah.
and even then, your most loyal friends will comprehend that, like, oh, you have a different level of privacy to your life now.
Yeah. And another thing I learned is to give people 3 chances. Like, you communication
I'm very
boundary.
straight girl.
They can mess it up the second time, maybe they forget, but that third time, they just don't respect your boundary. That's something else. Y'all be on TikTok.
I think that's why it was
Going
hard
down
for me
a rabbit
to
hole.
question. It's because you said if you do something one time, then, and I'm typically a
That's an
straight
accident.
person. Like, you do something, I'm like, hey, no, that's not really cool. Not really fucking with that. And then the second time, I was like, hey, girl, remember that one time I did this? And I was like, yeah, I'm not good with that. I'm still not fucking with it. If you do it again, like, it's gonna be an issue. The third time, I'm probably not even having that discussion with you. I'm just not answering the
I'm
phone.
moving different.
We're not talking. Now, if
So
you,
give me an example of what that would be. What would constitute you to, like, implement this 3 strike?
I'm trying to think of like a real life scenario because I don't really have.
Same.
What about, like, wasting your time?
You know what? That's it.
Okay.
Anybody
Telling you to
wait
be somewhere at
that's
one
very
time and then
on
you're
brand.
not there.
That's
I'm
very
there.
on brand.
That's disrespectful.
So you know what?
All you gotta do is
Time-
communicate. That's it.
Wasting my time would probably be the biggest like way to like
Yeah.
piss me off in general. So I would say that if you waste my time and then you're very flippant about it, like you're not, you know, my
Looking to
apologies,
explain and apologize,
this is
yeah.
what happened, or something like that, then it's a real problem.
It was something that you just said that it makes me feel like maybe you are good at like upholding your boundaries because you explained it, and that's something I didn't know.
Mhm.
Because I thought like when you're upholding your boundaries, you have to kind of be mean with it.
Mhm.
And I'm such a
Okay.
nice person; it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
But I was listening to that podcast you sent, Black Girl Affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
and she was saying you don't have to be mean. You can just tell them, "Hey, if you're late again, I am not going to wait on you, and I'm not going to hang out with you again." Like you give them a consequence. But you don't have to say it in like a mean way, like
Farm affairs, what I call it.
yeah, I'm never hanging out with you again. Like you don't give them an
Okay.
explanation. You don't like give them a chance to explain themselves. Like you have to kind of give the consequence.
I play too
Yeah.
much.
The late one.
I would try to make that too lighthearted. And be like, see, you keep doing this, I'm gonna start fucking with you.
I think that's
Oh,
where
Like,
I
people
see
are
all
always
this.
like, damn, you just disappeared. It's like, Brian literally said that 4 or 5 times. But you
I
thought
thought
I
you
was
were
playing.
joking.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I'm not trying to come at you,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm letting you know, like, I don't want to sit here at this sushi bar and they looking at me crazy
That
because
was
you're not
another
here with
thing.
my party. Like, come on.
She
Yeah.
said to start off with "I feel."
Mhm.
So I feel
I feel
disrespected when you come to dinner late, and if you do that again,
Mhm.
we will no longer be hanging out.
If you start with a you statement, it comes off accusatory. So
Definitely
by
so.
saying I feel, you're letting the person know that based on your actions, and it's kind of implied,
Mhm.
this is how you made me feel. This is how I would like for us to move forward if I
Right.
so choose to
Yeah.
move forward.
And I think what you really touched on, really this way, what you really touched on there was that boundaries are completely based on good, healthy communication.
Yeah.
You can't say you got boundaries just because you're like, I don't like that, don't ever do that again. You have to be able to say, what is the
Explain,
boundary?
Right.
what would be the alternative or the correct way to be handled,
Right.
and how do you actually feel?
Right. That's
You know,
what that
this
thin
is
line is.
Yeah.
I think that's where people don't
It's like
get it.
they don't know or understand what this boundary is or why. Like the weird thing is like, well,
Right, Jimmy?
I don't even know what that means.
Right.
Explain to me what being weird means.
What does that mean?
You don't have to explain when you
can't.
cut me off. It's like, okay. But it's
You
like,
can't.
I don't even know what you mean by this.
So I can't
understand.
correct it.
I can't
Exactly.
correct it.
So now you're
So
sending
setting
me
it
out
up.
into the next relationships or dealings or friendships being weird, and you didn't even offer me the decency of like
Now you
learning
got me over here
from this
thinking like maybe
exchange.
I need to go back and give some people an explanation of why I cut them off.
I think it depends on also, well, you have to be a good judge of whether or not you think that person is able
It's
to
gonna
receive it.
Yeah.
That's
Because
true.
sometimes I won't give a person that explanation if I feel like, oh, they're not going to hear it anyway, based on my experience with them, what we've already talked about.
Right. If you can't
violated-
hear me telling you to be
Yeah,
on time,
so it
you're
just
not
might not
gonna
be.
tell me that.
But there are some instances where I feel like if you value a relationship or you value the person, and even maybe still don't want to be in relationship with them anymore, if you really care about them, you should say, hey, this is what I didn't like. I don't feel like we can move forward. This is too much of a violation for me.
Yeah.
Right.
But moving forward, I want you to know that this is how you behave. So like you said, then you know what weird is.
Yeah.
Because if you can't give it a name, that's just like, it, to me, I told somebody this, it didn't happen.
I also feel like, because you said something about if that person is able to receive it, that's really not our call. If we really think about it,
Ooh.
I'm not responsible for saying, well, this person can handle that. For one, you don't know if that person can handle it or not. What your responsibility is to say, hey, unfortunately, I'm no longer going to be able to do this relationship for X, Y, Z. If they receive it, it's on them. If they
I say that
can't
because
receive
I ain't
it,
gonna argue with you.
Yeah.
I feel
I will
that.
say it, and if you want to do this better, I'm hang up in your face. I said what I said.
That's
about
really
this.
interesting though.
You have to do it for
That's
you.
really interesting
But that's a
though,
good
is that it's not that you're so responsible for their enlightenment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I feel like, especially women, are like, I just want you to see what I see, or the error of your ways, or I want you to come to understand this the way that I do, right? And it's like, actually, I just need you to know where you were offensive,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, in fact, the boundary.
Right.
That's my boundary.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll be the first one to admit, in moments of confrontation where I need to affirm a boundary, I don't always articulate well. You know what I mean? The complexities of an emotion, or like what something really makes me feel. And in turn, I come off very defensive. And I'm like, damn it, because I'm not.
You know what helps
You
with that
know
though?
what I mean? And I get so frustrated. Now you're like, why are you getting mad? Well, I'm really getting mad with myself
Yeah.
because I'm really just emotional in the moment, and I'm not able to just clear it. And then, you know, a day later, you always see those clips of Geminis walking around their house like replaying arguments. It's so true.
What you could
And it's
say.
not that I want to clap back better, but I could have said it better.
Yeah.
And then when I'm like, I replay a fight and I'm like, bro, I lost so motherfucking bad. Like,
When I could have just dropped
I could have
this right
shredded this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly what I feel.
And you feel
Right?
like in a moment, like you're
Yeah.
'cause I
But like, I feel like the best way to address anything is in a moment. And it's difficult, like, I stand on it, and I say that knowing
feel we
I
talked about
can
this last
struggle.
time.
Yeah, I struggle within the moment. But it's like, if you can show me that it's right now that you're upset, right now that you're offended, I need to know when it is. Because when you try to replay it 6 to 7 hours later, no matter what the day had, I'm just like,
I'm the
When?
opposite.
I'm like, where was I? Right. I was like, I didn't even say nothing. I don't know. You know what I mean? You need to get me while I'm in it. I smoke a lot of weed. Like, I
That's
don't
fair.
recall.
That's fair. I'm
Because
so
I definitely
opposite,
was mad
though.
hit a person with I don't recall. I
Yeah.
said that.
But I
That
have
sounds like
to
some shit I
admit,
would say, or nah, that don't sound like
you know what I mean? But like, it
I
doesn't
see.
help when you're actually trying to communicate, and I don't remember what we're talking about. And I'm not trying to be like,
And I'm not trying to be an
"You
asshole,
weed,
but I just don't
your
remember.
ass don't recall." But I'm like, that was hours ago. The hustle and bustle of a day and everything,
Yeah.
like, I don't remember exactly what you're talking about. But if you would just put a pin in it, and I'm the one to be like, we need to talk about this moment later when I can better say this, but like, I'm not trying to get emotional and be like, you're in my feelings. Like, not doing that,
Yeah.
you know, but you need to be able, that's my point, is you need to be able to communicate very well in order to really establish boundaries. Otherwise, you're just throwing a fit or being defensive or, you know, pointing the finger when that's not what you're really trying to say. So I think it takes a lot of maturity, which is why I think it's not, you know, embarrassing to say, I didn't really meet boundaries till I was damn near 30.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because what child can say that?
I think one of my boundaries is like if someone hurts my feelings, say through text message or something, I won't respond. Because for me, I'm kind of the opposite of you. I need a moment to like process my feelings. And the way that I do that is like journaling. I'm a writer, so like I just write it out. And then I kind of have like a mock conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, agree.
And then I love texting. Like texting, I'd rather do that than talk on the phone. And I know that's different for some people. People love talking on the phone when they're dealing with like an issue. But I'd rather text it because I feel like I can text it out and get it out. But then I can erase a little bit of something, you know,
clean this up,
up. And like,
I like
that's
that.
just how I work. Because I don't want to be volatile when I'm in a disagreement. Like, I don't want to say argument because it's like, it doesn't always have to be an argument. It's just a disagreement.
People don't.
And I might need a minute to calm down, process how I'm feeling. Like she said, I don't even know how I'm feeling. Or like, what point you got me fucked up? But I know you got me fucked up. Let me go back and like process that.
Let me think about what.
I don't know if that's a wrong thing or a right thing. But it's just
and that's something we have to get away from. There is no wrong thing or right thing. What works for you? You know, everybody does because it's not what you would do.
Yeah.
And when you start doing the whole, well, I just feel like you should have.
Don't worry about what I should have done.
Those are your boundaries. That's your path.
That's you.
This is my syntax. You don't get to tell me the order in which I process.
Yeah.
You don't get to tell me how I feel about it.
And that's kind of why my circle keep getting smaller and smaller.
No.
Okay.
Because only a few people.
Very few people
can rock with that.
I think for me, since I'm me, look down.
You know that?
Let's go scoop.
Don't know. My arms only got so much range.
My mic is in my armpit. Use my strong arm.
Oh my god. Not the strong arm.
That is gold.
I think since we've been sitting here, I kind of like replayed some of the things that have been happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, what was it? Not I think, I know. Last fall, I did therapy, right? Which is when I started to really think about boundaries, what they really are, what they mean, and how to implement them. And so, sitting here, I came up with my 3 that are like, you got me
firm boundaries. Okay.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
So one of them, real life situation, one of my dear friends who's no longer, unfortunately, a friend of mine, she would do this.
Man, I thought you were dead! I thought you was on here.
So bad because I was just putting my cup down and I was finna laugh.
You know why? I'm a liar from her reality.
It did, okay?
This character is evolved.
She would come to visit me.
She did.
She would come visit.
Pop your mic out.
She would come visit me, and then later she would send these long, and I absolutely hate when people randomly send me long ass fucking messages. I don't care if it's a good message. Don't send it to me.
Yeah.
I hate that. So she was saying,
read all that shit.
Don't send Angie any paragraphs of her.
No, look, if I have to hit the read more, you're doing too much.
Oh, no, that's too much.
You're doing too much.
But
why would you do that? Now you gotta call me.
Exactly.
Now you gotta
Send me a voice message. She would send these messages talking about her feelings. Well,
first of all,
why are you? You didn't ask if I was in a space to even receive this message. You just aggressively, emotionally dumped on me. And it's like I could be working, I could be sleeping, I could be sitting here crying because whatever has happened. Mm-hmm. You decided to send me an aggressive message about your perception of whatever might have happened, which is fine. You have your opinion, that's fine. Yeah. But the way you decided to deliver this is a problem for me. So just like 3 strikes you're out, she texted me a day before my 30th birthday when I was in Mexico.
Yes.
This long message, and then at the very end, but happy birthday though.
That's not a friend.
1, 2, 3, you're out. Because how dare you? Now I was
intoxicated.
I was intoxicated, right? So, and I hadn't gone through my therapy yet, which anything.
Free therapy is a whole different person.
Who is that? I don't even know who that girl is.
Danger.
She's cute, but she's gone.
No, love the fit.
Loved her.
Didn't love the fit. She's
not going to do it anymore.
You know?
So, it's like I exploded. I exploded in my response. But my response lets you know
you had me fucked up and this is the end, right?
Yes.
So that's one. But then it comes up to the second one. People not communicating after I've said, hey, I really need you to communicate, is an issue for me. Because I'm going to give you that.
That's bold.
And I understand that not everybody can receive that, but like we already said, that's not my problem. That's not for me to say you can or cannot receive.
Right.
So once I've asked you to communicate and you don't, and I get, like, it's different if I see you trying to communicate, but you're not communicating at all, like you sending me these long-ass messages when you could just communicate in a different way. It's a problem for me. I got to let you go now. Because now I'm having to get out of myself to try to figure out how to get us together here. I'm not doing it. And then the third, I had an issue not too long ago. A guy I was dating, right? Because I'm a dating girl.
Yes.
I love to go on dates. What's up?
She's got an open calendar.
Hello. Let me pencil you in. Anyway, so there was a guy I was dating.
Game.
Going on dates, trying to get to know each other. Cute. What you decided to do when we had an issue, besides the fact that you didn't communicate properly, you decided to gaslight the whole time you were quote unquote communicating. And I sat there and when I show y'all these messages when we get finished, I read these messages and responded, and then I think it was my second response. I was like, wait a minute. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Because it felt uncomfortable. It felt so uncomfortable. And I felt like I was reaching just to even respond. Like I'm doing too much to respond. But then it's like, okay, I know that this is a boundary for me. And here I am about to keep on responding to you. And now I'm like, well, what am I saying to myself?
Hello.
I had to sit there. I literally sat there in the mirror and said, Angelique, you know that this feels uncomfortable. You know that this isn't good. This isn't healthy. This isn't going to lead anywhere positive.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go ahead and say, you know what? You're right. I'm going to have to exit. And that's exactly what I did.
Good for you.
My response was, okay, blank. And what did they do? Message.
Blocked.
Okay. Well, what does okay mean? Okay means I acknowledge your message.
I know.
And I would like to end this now. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
No
that was
response
it.
needed.
That was
you.
it.
Kudos.
That was it.
And that's exactly what boundaries are about. It's about you. You have to protect your peace. You have to put yourself first. And people so often don't. So when you do that, it's like you're kind of, like we talked about this earlier, like you're coming for them almost because they feel like, man, I wish I could enforce my boundaries. I love people who enforce their boundaries. Like, I look up to that. I'm like, I wish I could, do that better. So it really is for you. And honestly, everybody should have certain boundaries in their lives when it comes to family, when it comes to friends, when it comes to romantic relationships. But a lot of people don't. They don't know how to enforce them. And even when they want to, in their core, like they want to say no, they just say yes because they don't want to make somebody upset or they don't want to lose out on a friendship or something. But you have to get so comfortable with being you and knowing that you're all you got. Like, it's okay.
That's a word.
It's okay. Anybody that leaves me, it just wasn't for me. Anybody who doesn't respect my boundaries is not for me, and you'll be okay. Like, you don't have to have these people in your life, even if it's a family. If they're bringing
That's where all my boundaries are.
Man,
if
I'm new to the
like
familiar
chaos,
boundaries,
like,
and this is
let
different.
go.
Like, I hear friends say that all the time, right? Like, I have the strongest boundaries with my families. I don't communicate this. I don't share this with my family. And I'm just like, really? Me and my family have always been click tight. And it's only in this new season that I'm in, moving out of state, that, like, all of a sudden everyone feels so entitled to my life and an opinion. And then in turn that I've set a boundary that, like, I'm not going to communicate about this. I don't need your advice. I don't, whatever the case may be. Now it's gone to, like, searching your social media and making conjectures and making assumptions and discussing you. And it's like, I've decided that my boundaries, I don't want to communicate this with y'all. I don't want to discuss it. I don't need or want your advice. I'm not issuing any apologies. Like, we can limit this relationship at this point. And it's just like, okay, we're just out. And it's like, you have to be prepared when you're standing on boundaries that you are going to lose people. That some people really, like you were saying, It's not my responsibility if you can comprehend this, if you can handle it, if you can receive this information.
My responsibility
My responsibility is to me. And when it comes to family in particular, you're so...
Oh, I struggle.
You know what I mean?
With my mom especially.
I have to, right? Like,
My
you're
mom.
supposed to, right? And it's like, no, actually, I do belong to myself.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you love your family, you belong to yourself. And that ownership, I think, is really difficult.
And it's healthy. Boundaries are healthy.
It is. It's super healthy.
They're necessary, and I didn't really understand that because I was never taught about boundaries. Like I said, we learned that later in life. So I felt like I had to tell my mom everything.
Everything.
And it's like, it's not even I had to. It's like I just wanted
It was
to.
a safe space.
But
you
then
were taught
sometimes
that,
she
like,
used
come and
a
convulse
safe
to me.
space. I know that.
I always felt like I had a really
She
safe
used it
space.
against me sometimes.
That's what I think a lot of people have their boundaries
And I'm
based
like,
on that
well,
kind of
based
fear.
on that, I'm not gonna tell you.
When I
much
was
else.
vulnerable, it bit me in the ass, right? I grew up very fortunate in that my family had always been a safe space.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
You could tell them, you know, anybody, your mom, your dad, your siblings, like, this is what happened at school, or this boy's kind of cute, or, you know, whatever, like, my booty itch, I don't know, you know, all the things you just say as a kid. You know what I mean? Wash your ass, like, whatever the conversation. And even things like that. In-depth hygiene. You know what I mean? This is a conversation that people be avoiding because you're like, oh, you know, I ain't trying to be all up in it. Did you teach them how to take a shower? You know what I mean? Like, my family was very thorough in your life. Like, anybody show up and scrub your ass.
Yeah.
But you learned all the ins and outs. Like, this is how you do something. This is how you pray. This is how you brush your teeth.
Exactly.
This is how you put your clothes on.
Exactly.
Your hang tag go on the left side. Like, all the little things. You know what I mean?
That's why
You remember when we was little girls, our panty tag was on our hip. Now it's in the back. Like, I don't know why it was. But our panty tag used to always be on our left side. 80s babies. So, but to that point, I'm saying, like, my family has always been extremely close-knit, and for me, it was a safe space. So now that I'm setting a boundary about what my intimate and personal life is, they don't comprehend that, like, well, why aren't we involved now? We've been in all your other decisions, your school decisions, your career decisions. You bounced everything else off of us. You feel entitled to it. And I feel like it's easier to have boundaries with your friends because you met them in places and they've watched you grow and change. Your family still sees you through that lens of whatever your role is in your family.
Oh, man. Dude.
And then to reassign you from, like, little baby sister, only baby girl, everybody's favorite aunt or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Popped out 2 kids and I'm still a kid.
You know what I mean? Like, how is that possible? Y'all don't see a grown mother of her own?
Right.
You don't see someone walking in their own.
Boundaries with me. She'd be like, "Don't tell grandma what I'm about to tell you." You know, she's coming up to come to me.
The kids got good boundaries.
And I had to apologize because I slipped up and told, you know, grandma something that I didn't understand. Well,
she probably had the right to feel betrayed.
She did.
You know what I mean?
And I'm just like, why did I even tell her that? Like, I'm just so used to telling my mom my business.
To divulge into my mother.
I'm still working
And that's
on that.
something like you can share with your daughter. Like, I'm used to doing it with my mom, so that's why I slipped up.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
As a little girl.
But I mean, if y'all know little kids and you've got little kids, I got little kids in my house now, like, the kids got good boundaries.
They do.
You know what I mean? Like,
They do.
Skylar will tell a kid in a minute, do not touch me. Don't. This is my body. You know, like, whatever the case. And I mean, even the dog, like, she got out the tub and the dog walked by and licked her, like, the back of her thigh. Not even her butt, the back of her thigh. Moo was trying to lick my butt. That is a no place. You know, it's like, no, yes, ma'am, it is. You are correct. You know what I mean? But the kids know boundaries. You know what I mean? Or there's things I don't want to talk about with so and so, or I would never. This is how you keep a secret. She told me how to keep a secret the other day. I'm like, not you guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Now I ask.
You know what I mean? But like the
Can I
kids,
tell?
and that's a tribute to the young adults that are raising kids and being examples in front of kids. Because I don't remember having boundaries like that.
Me either.
You know, with my physical body, yes, of course. Like, you know, these are safe spaces, blah blah blah. But
I didn't have those kind of
being able to express yourself about it,
Like, don't tell grandma.
no.
It was you need to be.
Everybody knew my
You finna hear your business from the back seat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your mama finna walk all around the house with the vacuum talking about your ass.
And I didn't think about it like that because I'm so used to it. So I'm like telling my mama something. She's like, why you telling my business? And it's not even a big deal. You know, it might be something small, but to her,
it's her business.
Like, I told you that, Mom. I didn't tell her that. Exactly.
And she can have her own reasons.
She's teaching me.
No, legit.
Yeah.
I think you figure out how you feel about people and how people respond to information that you give them. And that it through whatever lens you see that person kind of determines what you may or may not want to share.
Yeah.
And I think as a little girl that's important. I didn't have those kind of boundaries. Like there was even a point at one time that there was like a joke about my underwear throughout the family because I had like the days of the week on my underwear or I wore Flintstone underwear, so that was like a thing my cousins would yell at. And I was like, this is weird.
Because why does everyone know
No,
about intimate?
Yeah.
Literally weird to me.
Literally.
That was like an ongoing, and so I would find myself as the youngest cousin being like made fun of in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember being a teenager and having an uncle say, go put some clothes on, and I'm like, but I live here. Like we all family, why I got to go put clothes on? So all of these kind of things, like for me, I became 30.
Yeah.
And boundaries started looking different for me.
Yep.
Being in certain situations with my family made me look at them different. Their judgments on the way that people's bodies are discussed, or young girls and older men, just different views. I feel like I started to see the adults around me different as far as, and that made me impose boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, one, you don't even see me as a human. There are things that, like, to the point of your people, like your mama telling your auntie your business or your grandma, you gonna hear her on the vacuum, on the phone.
Running her mouth about you.
Right. So those kind of things, like, you would hear it come back to you, and then sometimes it wouldn't even be true.
Right.
I've heard a lot from my own damn mama about me. And stood in my face and said, and I'll say it again. And I'm like, because that was a bold-faced ass lie.
Why would you lie on me like this?
Why would you lie on me like that? That's weird, girl.
Yeah.
So that is what got me to be, because I was in a place where I was like, people pleasing, looking for approval. But then I became an adult, and I was like, I don't even like you as an adult. I don't like you as a person, as a woman.
Being able to recognize characteristics in other adults as you were transitioning to adulthood and saying, like, I like that you do this. Maybe you're hardworking or ethical, whatever, but I don't like the way you.
I don't like the way you talk to people.
Or the,
You're
like,
not
I don't
as
like
perfect.
the things. Yeah,
I put people on a pedestal bad.
Man.
I had that bad. Even in relationships, I'm thinking you can do no wrong. You are the
And when you
big.
crack that image, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, but it's not their fault. It's my fault.
You had to know from jump they're human.
Exactly.
And that, I think, is part of setting boundaries, understanding that no one just knows perfectly how to treat you or what your levels of respect are or what your expectations are. You have to be willing to define that. And that's a constant shaping, right? Because my needs right now may not be my needs in 6 years or 6 months, whatever. But are you willing to reshape your fit in my life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
If you want to
If you want to say,
you better.
you got to keep up.
Yeah,
And that's friends, family. Because it's real easy. Like, you go too long without picking up your phone.
I haven't
don't
talked to my
no more.
family in this year. I haven't talked to my mama in a year.
Like, it's been
Or my youngest
interesting.
sibling.
No, like, y'all, they took me out the family class.
How do you feel about
2 or
that,
3
though?
years without speaking to my mom.
Like, that's nuts.
Are you okay with that, though? Is it your piece okay? Everything's fine with you?
Yeah, she don't like me.
Do you have,
Why you want to be in a relationship with somebody that don't like you?
do you have, like, resentment about that?
No, I feel like I reached a level of understanding, and it's just as simple as somebody don't like you. You don't want to.
You don't
Face
want to
value.
say you're welcome.
That's what it is for me. I'm very much you show me how you feel about me, and I proceed accordingly. And if you don't want to be around me for whatever reason, okay, if that is what brings you peace, I am happy to give you that. You know,
That's real.
because I'm very much. I think you said something earlier about something about being yourself or something, and I'm just like I very much like who I am. I'm very much. I have a good relationship with myself, and I feel like that's off-putting for other people.
You're secure in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
And so if that's an issue for you, that issue
And
can't
they're
be
not.
my issue.
Yeah, that
And
kind
so
of
how you
security
perceive me,
heightens insecurity in others.
that can't be my issue.
Not my problem. Good luck.
Like that cannot be my issue.
What did you even
And then you told me, I heard her.
I shall
And then you asked
I
about
like
like people seeing you a certain way based on knowing you, like seeing you grow up, but they still view you as a child. In some way, like I'm viewed as a child and irresponsible, not an adult. But I've also been given the responsibility of doing things as an adult a lot by myself. So it's like, what you
Now,
Well, which is
maybe
it?
it makes sense.
You gotta
Why
find
did
it.
you
The math is not math. talking
at all.
Exactly. So I just started to learn, like, when people show you how they feel about you, it's not your duty to try and make that work because they're you're this or you're that in your family.
Heck no, life's too short.
Whatever they think.
I
about
said, in
you,
my house,
they're
I'm in the cut.
You have a spiritual mom,
No,
okay,
for real.
let them have it.
who really resonates with you and like builds you up, enriches you, and she might have a better relationship with you than you do with your mom, and that's okay.
Right.
And that's okay.
Because that's who God put in your life, and that's who's supposed to be there.
I got plenty auntie.
It's lessons at all.
Aunties, yes, aunties.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, oh, it's just seasons. Things come in their due season. But, like, people will come and go.
Mm-hmm.
Friends,
They were there for a
families,
reason,
everything.
and
You
now
know,
their
and
season's
if you
over.
can honestly
And their
review
season
it and
is over,
see it,
and that is okay.
what did you learn? Like, I just don't feel like if it's a wasted interaction, then that's a loss.
I never, no,
You know what I mean? But it's like, I feel
Yeah,
like
That's true.
if I sit with it
No
long enough,
relationship.
I've gained enough
Mm-hmm.
that if this is how you want to leave it,
Then that's fine.
then it's due.
Yeah,
That's
that's my
how
problem.
it's
I just
time.
don't have
I love
one
this.
foot,
for
2 foot,
everybody.
red foot, blue foot. I just don't care.
But now, and I do want to say this one thing though, because everybody has things in their life, right? Everybody has some people that they may have recently had some boundaries issues with, or people you just recently dismissed, family, all the things.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many people finna watch this clip and be like, no, this bitch did just sit on
No,
this
she
couch
didn't.
and talk about she ain't finna fuck with us no more. And it's like, hear us. We're not.
Hello? We
You
are
don't have
not.
to sit with us.
And that's fine. That is fine.
That is fine.
Sit with us.
Literally.
I mean, this is not the first interview where I've said that. Like, I did a whole mother wound interview with a Reiki master. Where we talked about healing your mother wound. And we, like, it is what it is. And people feel like,
I love
because
saying that.
people,
The way my mind just was like, mother wound.
yeah, because
I was
the
like,
first time I ever heard it, I was like, what?
It's real.
Ooh,
But it's,
And
that
they
sounds
know it.
painful.
My
That sounds
mom,
deep.
my
Like,
mom always brings up the fact that she told me when I was like maybe 7 that I couldn't sing, and I really took it to heart because I'm a Pisces and I'm sensitive. I used to sing all the time. I stopped singing,
she stole your song.
That's so crazy. That's an example.
but I
Is
really,
that why you look a
The
little
love
mermaid?
languages.
you know what?
That's
See,
let's literally say that in the love language. Not the love
The
language.
Little
It's for
Mermaid, it really is my favorite movie. And when you think about it, her dad was trying to stop her from.
took her voice.
Did I therapize?
But you know what? I have a dream to like get voice lessons, and
I don't mean to laugh.
I don't need to laugh, but like,
y'all laughing, but I
No,
got
it's
a
not
opinion on
funny.
her. But with the 7-year-old me was very much like
Right.
hurt.
as you should have.
You know what I'm saying?
That's your
And
mother.
she apologizes randomly all the time for that. I'm like, so you know,
Because you probably had a great voice.
Yeah.
She could have just been. That's on the
Yeah.
4 love language. I mean, the 4 agreements. Like she could have just been having a very bad day,
yeah.
Yeah.
and she just heard you that one day and was like, "Bitch,
I can't sing.
this was great."
I've learned some things. I felt some things. I've had some breakthroughs. Like she,
No, like I have to go Google things
for real.
because I have a wonderful relationship with my mom. But like,
Yeah,
that
you and
doesn't
your mom
mean-
with
But that doesn't mean there's not like
conflict.
yeah, or trauma there that
Some
like
things that you still think about as your 30-year-old.
you know what I mean? Because I'm like, right, what did you do to me? Like,
What did you
I don't
do?
know. But even that, like that presence and that nurturing. Am I expecting everyone to be so committed and so steadfast because that's the love I know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, actually, that's an impossible love that you only could get from a mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do I now have some super like seated expectation of people because I've had such a, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
I
It
feel like
can
that's a whole
always
other
go
episode.
either way.
Yeah.
We can talk about
So
that.
to the point, I know we were like big. So Ebony K. Williams mentioned that her mom was like super strict, and Iyala Manzan said she was a horrible mom, but she was a great father. And so they had like these strict relationships with their mom, and she said that shaped Ebony K. Williams. That shaped the way that I have an experience now, and the way that I want to date. And
Did you hear
it? Or whatever.
oh, okay, I'm like, what? Are you okay? Which part fucked you up?
She was a horrible mother, but a great father.
Yeah,
So
so
what
she
she-
had a great father. Or
No,
she
she was
participated
saying
like a
she
father.
was saying that she was more masculine. As
Okay,
a
that's what I
mom.
thought. It was
But she
fucking
was
me up too.
strict.
Yes, she was like I was.
So she was operating her masculine energy.
That's what the point she was trying
as
to make.
opposed to being
Well,
nurtured.
say that. That's the
Yes.
type of mother you were, but don't say you was a great father.
Yeah, because I was very much
hate
like,
that.
I hate that.
No, she wasn't saying it to big herself up like how moms be like, wish me happy Father's Day. That's not how she was saying it. she was saying it to say where I should have been nurturing and should have been a mom and been living my feminine energy. I was being more masculine. I was about strictness and order.
And sometimes women do have to do that.
So that's also the point.
That's
That's
the disciplinary
that
when
she
I
made.
about it, you know?
So
is that not a trauma response?
Yeah, so every time we was like, the reason that I hold these opinions about the type of men that I want to date is because my mom was unrelenting. I could not fail. And I've experienced that. So as a woman, that is kind of how you kind of come off, and that makes you look at life through a different lens.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I mean, it was no, she's a fucking lawyer.
Yeah.
Like, you're not disciplined, you gotta be I almost went to law school, so I get it. You know,
I get it too, because you said look at life through a different lens. For a lot of my life, I did feel like not good enough, you know, like I'm okay, but
that's
something missing, and it might stem from my relationship with my mother, but like I say,
mother wound. That's a mother wound. That's a mother wound.
You're having breakthroughs.
Every episode, I'm like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, like, I want to look
that's
into that. I have a great relationship with mine.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna project all of my trauma onto her. She's gonna be like, Maya, shut up.
And you know,
no, don't have your mama talk about that girl that podcast. You ain't gonna say the best.
Literally, how that's gonna go. When this comes out and she sees this, she's gonna pick up the phone. Do not start with me. Do not. I did a damn good job.
I'm a good woman.
I'm a good woman.
I'm a good woman, Savannah.
Your ass is stupid. That's what she was saying. I promise you.
Right.
Well, this was a good episode. I'm glad that we've all gotten to a place where we understand what boundaries are, and it sounds like we're trying to implement them.
Yeah.
Which is, like we
Stand
said,
on it.
hard to
Yeah.
stand on sometimes. But
Figure out what they
kudos to us, right?
Communicate.
For us doing that. Love that for us.
Proud. Proud sisters.
Well,
proud sisters. Did we do advice?
We
We did
We
it.
did not.
Okay, actually.
Well, none of y'all wrote into it.
Advice about
Somebody did right?
enforcing your boundaries.
Right. As hard as it is.
You know what? My advice would actually come from my mom about boundaries.
Really?
She said, get on your island, be at your own home. Because she stayed like in a different city, like a suburb, versus in town where the rest of my family lives, and that was her island.
Protect your peace.
Yeah,
Protect your
So
It is what it is.
What it is.
Okay, here it is. Okay. We had several, but this one was very, very good.
Okay.
Where's the line between always being understanding and simply being disrespected?
Oh.
Well, I mean, are you not understanding that you're being disrespected?
You can get that voice in your head.
Are you? That takes understanding.
I was about to say, it sounds like you're muting the voice that's
that voice, you hear that voice.
They're two different things.
Don't
But
ignore
you like
that
to put
voice.
them together. They're two different things.
But
I don't understand that you are sitting right here in my face disrespecting me. I don't have to accept your disrespect.
Okay.
But that is completely different from me saying like, okay, well, when in real life you don't even understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah. When you're
Yeah,
trying to
like
accommodate
you
the
said.
disrespect.
Exactly. They're two different things.
Because if that's what you feel in your mind, but your voice says something different, no, listen to that voice in your head.
That's
Sometimes
where-
sometimes it does come out as
That's where they came
Go
from, because I very much, knowing that I have an authoritative personality and voice, I am always in my head about making sure I don't come off aggressive to people, and therefore they don't always get my point. So like if I give you, for example, in a business scenario, a person was continuously doing the same thing, and I one strike in the meeting, like, hey, you know, calling your attention to this. Second time, I'm calling your attention. Third time, now I'm finna go the fuck off.
Because now you're disrespected.
Because now you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like instead of them first two times, if I had started at 3, but gave you like the middle ground of cussing you, not
That's that
necessarily
Instagram
cussing
audio.
you out, but
I was at a 6 right there. You don't want to see me at 10.
not for real. Cause I'm like, I feel like one and two were just like, you know, we're friends here. Like, let's not. You know, but by the
And
time
sometimes
we
it
get to
does be
3,
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I'm cussing you the fuck out.
Yeah.
So now I'm at number 1, should be cussing the fuck out, but like, not be a 10, maybe give him like a 7.5.
Yeah.
Little razzle dazzle.
Little razzle.
So the line is like when you feel it. You feel it in your heart.
Yeah,
feel
don't
that
mute it.
urge.
You said it. Like,
Yeah.
don't mute that voice. Listen to it.
Don't ignore that and try to, because then you're into that
What you
pleasing
done?
and like
That's what it is.
now your boundaries is just like, well, fuck my boundaries. I'm gonna do what you want. I'm gonna please you. Like no.
So it's really a matter of hearing that voice when it does that, like what Angie was saying. What does that say about me to me?
Angie's saying it's two different things that they don't correlate. People just make it seem like they do. Because you have to understand what the fuck is going on.
But
You know you're being
understand.
disrespected. It's either you're gonna accept disrespect or you're not.
Yeah.
You understanding has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you're accepting it or not.
So it's how you
It's
move.
either you have it or you
Agreed.
don't. It's either someone's disrespecting you or you're not. It's either you're gonna accept it or you're not.
Exactly.
And how
There's no
you
line.
accept
They're two
it,
different things.
you have to determine how you're going to respond to it, which I think is what my issue was.
Yeah. Okay, I feel
Because
that.
I've been ready to
You
come off the
can-
road.
you can do
So
a gentle
that
range.
I love
Custom. You
it.
can do a gentle range.
Yeah.
They'll get the message.
What the hell?
Or you can do the custom out.
You can do a Phaedra.
What the hell?
Okay.
You see how silent it was after that reading?
Hello.
Everybody
This
was
is what you will know. That's all.
Well, it is what it is.
Exactly. Well, I think this was great.
I'm not mad at it.
We buckled up.
Turn those yellows into red stop signs. Then turn.
Hello.
Stop that shit.